Okay, so once you've done your your writing exercise, we're going to do a drawing that's going to basically just all the elements I spoke of, the analogy of the plant. We're going to imagine that. So you can start with your seed pod and really just make a shape or a line that you imagine your creativity to be in. And you can do it with lines and contours, and then you can start by drawing a little sprout. You can think of what plant your creativity is and sprout that out of the seed, and maybe you draw a few leaves, and you can imagine in what form your sprout is in now. Are you already an established plant? Do you have some roots growing out? We're going to get to that now, but imagine what kind of plant you are. Do you have flowers? Are you a tree already? Are you just in your infancy? Maybe you got a knock in your creative life and you're reconnecting with it. How can you depict that where you are right now in your creativity? Okay. So once you've drawn your plant in line and really added texture and added some elements that make it personal, you can start to think of what roots you in your creativity. Now this can take the symbolic of your intention that we set at the beginning of the course. So maybe your intention is to create time every single day to ground, or it is a space that you've created for yourself. So think about this and then draw them in the symbol of roots, again in line. And this is lovely. I love drawing roots. Sometimes I draw roots as this is not a finished painting, but I'll show you that the hair of this face has roots. So roots can also be used in very different ways, and I really like them as a symbol for growth, grounding, wildness. Okay, so you draw your roots, as many as you feel. Maybe it's a vast network. Maybe you're only starting with your intention now and the seed hasn't been growing for so long. Okay, then you have your roots. I'm going quickly, but of course you can pause the video and flesh out any of the prompts as much as you want. Now you're going to think about your creative ground. So the ground that you're growing in. So this can be your family structure, and you're going to use repetitive forms. So I'm going to use circles, and to me this symbolizes the ground particles, but it also symbolizes full circle in the sense that I know I am healing my ancestral wounds in this lifetime now. So a lot of the healing that I've done in my creative life has been looking at the patterns that I learned as a child, but also the patterns that has been passed on to me. I've spoken about my grandmother. I've spoken about how she disrupts herself. I've spoken about her pushing her art to the side for other things, and I know that I'm stopping that in my lineage in this life now. Okay, so this is the full circle. It's come full circle now. All the women in my life, in my family, that have put their wildness and their inspiration and their musing aside for the sake of responsibility, family, whatever there was, duty. I am now stopping that chain of guilt and shame, and I am embracing the wild artist that I am. Okay, so you can think of what these ground particles symbolize, and while you draw them, like I said, these repetitive actions are a very meditative prompt. So really drop into it and pause the video now if you have to, and finish it until the entire ground is full. And you can do layers of this. So maybe I'm working in a light color, so maybe after I've done all the circles in the ground, I can go back in and I can create an orange center. Orange is the color of creativity. It's the color of the sacral chakra. If you want to read into it even more, it symbolizes creative expression in a joyous way. So now this is the center of this full circle, is embracing creative play and expression. Okay, so layer it as much as possible. Think of the symbolics while you're working, and let your writing exercises inform this. Alright, so now we're going to move to the sky, and here we're going to imagine the forces that are imposed on our creativity. So maybe you are in a profession right now where you feel like you don't have a lot of creative expression, and maybe one of your creative monsters are in your workspace, and you can think of how you want to symbolize them, maybe in the form of a bird that eats part of your plant, maybe in the form of ants or insects that feed on your plant but not maybe in a good way. You can think of your creative community as maybe being nurturing, so then you draw clouds with rain falling, using all of the elements that we've spoken about before. So I want you to think of air, and you can use the prompt flat planes of color for air. Okay, pause, do that. Flat plane of color, air. What does the air symbolize for you? Remember, plants also get a lot out of the air and put a lot into the air, so think of that cycle. Then you can think of clouds or nutrients that come externally, and you can draw that either in a symbol or in a texture. Pause and continue when you're ready. Then you can think of nutrients that come out of the soil. So you're thinking about your ancestry and your original kind of structure when you're thinking of the ground, but now you can think of maybe a specific person in your life that feed you from this community. Okay, and then maybe that can take the form of outlining some of your roots, so that it looks like there's particles being sucked up, or the roots are being fed by something, or they're being strengthened, and you make outlines around your roots. Okay, and while you think of this creative environment, this way that you want to grow, you can maybe start adding in the ground, almost like giving perspective, some other seeds that are sprouting. And maybe this is people in your life that through your creative expansion are also feeling inspired. Your brother, your friend that is part of your expansion and now is becoming part of this composition. So you can add more plants to it, each giving it its own element. Okay, so in today's exercise we're really playing with the visualization of what our creative environment, our creative community looks like, and we're acknowledging our creative monsters and also how this can strengthen our little plant. So think of how you want to create this composition and symbolize all of what I've said now. Okay, I'm speaking really fast. It's for the purpose of the video. So digest it, listen to it again, pause it if you need to, replay it, yeah, and really flesh out this creative community, creative supporting structure. And I hope you have a beautiful day.